Hi, very warm welcome to you. It's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, before we get into this, just want to say a big thank you to the 6 people that stepped forward and put a bit of funding our way to the observatory. You know, as well as I do, on the 17th of every month, we do a localised positioning of the magnetic North Pole, and we give you the longitude and latitude. We also calculate how many miles it's migrated over that period of time. And, you know, it was a bit of a surprise that we had 14,000 people view the video, and out of the 14,000 people that viewed it, only 6 people stood forward to make a little contribution towards, you know, what we do here. It's also notable that, you know, from the 3rd of March this month, we've not had one person step forward and make a donation on the actual official website, despite 20,000 people viewing every week. I don't know what's going on, I really don't, but you know, the reason why I wanted to do this video today is to say to you guys that we need to start working together, because I'll guarantee you this: global governments around the world are working together, mainstream media is working together with the governments around the world, and major, large, high-tech corporations are all working with the governments and the media. They're all friends, and we are not. And we're getting pushed further and further down that rung of the ladder every time. And you should be able to see this now for yourselves. Fuel prices at the highest ever. Food prices following suit. And the climate on our earth going haywire, and there are things that are going untold about purposely to keep you guys in the dark, keep you disinformed of what is actually taking place. And we are heading, without a doubt, at full pelt, as far as where I can see, into a catastrophe. It is definitely on course. The reason why I wanted to show you this map, because it shows the intensities, but there's something blatant here I want to draw your attention to, and that's the bottom right hand intensity. You can see in the centre of that intensity of 60,000 nanoteslas, you can see in the centre, in the epicentre of the bottom right hand screen, you can see the South Pole right in the centre of the highest intensity over the southern hemisphere. I just want to draw your attention to the intensity over Russia, top right, and the intensity over Canada, top left. And can you see something odd? There is no North Pole in either of those intensities. You know, when you get your compass out and you see it pointing to somewhere, it is neither pointing at either one of those epicenters where the highest intensity is, like the South Pole. That's because it isn't even in the epicenters of the two. Right now, there is a battle going on deep within the crust of the northern hemisphere for the magnetic North Pole, and you can see who is going to be the winner. It is going to be Russia. It's heading, we know exactly where it's heading. That's what we've been doing for the last 4.5 years. We've been tracking its position every month and relaying that information to you. But I want to just also draw your attention to what has been taking place over the last 30 to 40 years with regards to our climate, because it is by no coincidence that when the magnetic North Pole started to accelerate very quickly, so did the climate on our planet start to become much more worse. There is no coincidence here, and you ain't going to be told this by mainstream organisations, and you ain't going to be told by mainstream media either why that is the case. I'll tell you what the problem is they know the extent of what all this is going to lead to. And if people think it's just the case of your compass needle reversing and no other adverse effects, you couldn't be any further away from the truth. And that's probably why they won't even talk about one of the rarest anomalies that is taking place on our Earth in front of our eyes right now as we speak. they won't talk about it because they know what the implications are of an Earth that goes through a magnetic reversal, how it affects all the biodiversity on this planet, how it alters the cardiac arrhythmia of those little heartbeats, not just in human beings, but in all the biodiversities of our planet. Scientists might talk about animals that migrate and that shouldn't be washing up on beaches like whales and things like that as much as what they are. And they'll say, oh, it's just because of the magnetic anomalies that are taking place on our planet, but there's nothing to worry about. I can tell you now, this anomaly affects more than just migratory animals. This affects everything. At the centre of any planetary mechanics will be, first and foremost, a magnetic field, a magnetosphere, or even the magneto that generates the magnetosphere. And if something is taking part and place with that magneto within our core of our Earth, then we should pay attention to it, because our Earth could easily, very easily, look like Mars does today, because that is an example of a planet that has its core stall, solidify. And when that happens, we lose the magnetosphere. And that is exactly what happened on Mars. We know from studying the terraform on Mars that it had oceans and rivers, had an atmosphere, which it has neither of today because it lost its magnetosphere. And what happened to Mars could very easily happen to our Earth. Guys, Mars is our neighbouring planet in this solar system. It no longer has a magnetosphere. Could what happened to Mars be happening to our planet right now? The reason why I even mention this is because before the last magnetic reversal 780,000 years ago, on average, our planet went through a magnetic reversal every 300 to 350,000 years. This reversal is 500,000 years overdue. We've got no idea other than guesstimates as to where the next reversal will take place and where the poles will be, but what we can say right now is that for the last 120 years the poles have been migrating, and more recently they've been getting faster, covering more distance in a shorter space of time. We know because the corridor of where we're tracking the magnetic North Pole is heading just below the Arctic Circle in Russia. And because of its high intensity, we know that's where it's going. We know why it left Canada in the 1900s, because its intensity started to weaken and the one over Russia started to increase. This is a major planetary anomaly taking place before our eyes, guys, and it is definitely deserving of a little bit of extra funding. We need to start working together, and we need to start planning what our next move is going to be. The only way we can do that is if we all work together, unfortunately. I know what is taking place in Ukraine is devastating. You know, tens of thousands of people have already lost their lives in what, only now 3 or 4 weeks of the war theatre beginning over there. But what will result from this and the returning back to a glacial period, probably accelerated by a planet going through a magnetic reversal, will be far more worse than what we're watching right now take place in Ukraine. Because right now there's probably 30 to 40 million people in Ukraine. Just put that in comparison with the amount of souls on our planet. 8 billion souls. You can't even compare it. Guys, there is a link down there in the description if you want to help support what we are doing. We're trying to get more equipment into the field, and it's becoming really difficult now. There is a conflict taking place with Russia, but that hasn't stopped us wanting to get equipment there. You know, we want to get equipment out into Brazil and South Africa. You know, we are still pushing forward with the work that we do at this observatory. It'd be great if we could just keep you know, some enthusiasm and try and encourage a few more people to step forward and support us with a bit of finance. That's all we want. We'll deliver what information we can gather from what we are observing, with not just, you know, the data that we gather from other organisations, but the data, more importantly, which we gather ourselves. And that is what separates us from anyone else on YouTube or the internet. Link down there if you want to help support us. So what I usually do, you take care of your loved ones. As always, bye for now.